Coleman medal, the Norm Smith medal, Brownlow medal is Jimmy Bartel. Matthew Lloyd.
We have a cracking game tomorrow night. The Western Bulldogs, who have been rejuvenated in the last couple of weeks, up against the best side in the competition, the Sydney Swans. And Jimmy, you've broken down the mix of the Swans and why they're so good.
Well, this might make it hard, Ed. It sort of answers your question because they've got a bit of everything, the Swans. When you have a look at it, we call these guys the grunt guys. Rowbottom's attack the machine, so is Adams. This is pure polish and class. Goulden does it by foot. The Chad picks the ball up and runs with it, and Heaney is just class everywhere. And these guys provide a lot of flexibility who can come through the midfield. Florence spent a lot of time at half-back. McInerney can come on ball, half-back himself. And Papley, when he wants to get himself going and give the Swans a bit of dynamite, he comes through and provides that real spunk on ball, can hit the scoreboard as well. And this man is the added extra piece here. He can go on the opposition's best players, which, Lordy, you've got a match-up for him coming up against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, sometimes you just need opportunity, and Ed Richards has become a star in recent weeks. So Liberatore has had his concussion issues, and I think he's put a different dynamic on this Bulldogs midfield. He's one of the best half-back flanker junior players that I've ever seen, Ed Richards, for Carey Grammer. And now he's developed himself into a midfielder, and he has that explosive speed that you want. And I'm a bit concerned about Marcus Bontempelli and the treatment that he's getting. Teams are hunting him, so he needs more support in that sense, and Jordan is going to go after him like he has these players. Yeah,
he even grabbed Noah Anderson for a period of time, but the ability to play on these guys who can really run and take the footy away from the contest. Whitfield, he put some great time into. Jordan Clark, another half-back flanker, but I think his performance here on Sam Walsh last weekend really caught a lot of people's attention. And the Blues didn't ask enough questions of James Jordan and whether the Swans wanted that matchup. And you just highlighted the Bont. What would you do with the Bont if James Jordan sidled over to him?
Well, the Bont is about 195 centimetres. So I'm 191. He's 195. He's huge. So I'm telling James Jordan, come with me. I'm going to test you. I don't care that it's Jugelhagen, it's Norton, these guys. I'm testing him out in a way that he hasn't been tested. Sam Walsh can't do that. But the Bont can take him deep and try and challenge him that way, Jim.
And you'd be doing what you used to do in the Essendon forward line. Get out of my 50. Give me all the space and you force the match-up. Lloydie, I want to have a look at, obviously, the Bulldogs' defensive group. I know we focus a lot on the big key forwards, the midfield mix, but I think Liam Jones and the defensive group has been a very quiet, sneaky, improving season. This is last year against the Giants up on Mars there. They're just all out of sync, but all just locked into their direct opponents. And it's sort of a mix of team defence and looking after your own patch, which creates the overlap for sides. And once sides get that overlap forward footy, it just eventually ends up in an easy score, an easy mark inside forward 50. But the difference I've noticed in the last couple of weeks here is team defence. Enough pressure on the ball. And when we hold it here, this is excellent. You're actually covering off all the dangerous areas on the ground. Players are pushing back hard to defend first. And it allows the likes of Liam Jones to fly for the footy. Again, he gets it. But first instinct, get back, block up the area. Very difficult to hit those targets, and he comes into play again.
Yeah, it's a big plus. That was his biggest weakness, Luke Beveridge, the organisation behind the ball. Maybe it's taken more time than he needed, Ed, but they've looked better the last couple of weeks.
And that's the difference because we were sacking him 3 weeks ago, and now they're outside by a game, outside the 8, and have got the second best percentage in the AFL.
Exactly, but I still think the Swans will get them tomorrow night, Jimmy.
I think the Swannies...
Friday night footy sees the Pies head to Optus Stadium to take on the Fremantle Dockers, and while they got the points last week, it was an ugly win for Fremantle against St Kilda. St Kilda have been smashed all week, but Fremantle weren't much better with the way they moved the ball, Jimmy.
No, a lot of people bemoan the Saints' ball movement and scoring, but Freya's not much better, dropping the anchor, and they actually defend really well, but how can they actually get better use out of their defensive? And you look at their defensive efforts, you look at their numbers, they win a truckload of the footy, they kick it sideways, backwards, slow, and then you have a look at this kick-to-handball ratio, your transition numbers are all poor. If you want to be in the top 4 or you're challenging for flags, you've got to actually move the ball a bit quicker off. Great work. He's a start, Ryan. But look at this from Freo. All the players backwards, sideways, slow. Even players up the field have almost given up leading. And it's too easy for good sides just to roll across, and eventually you've got to come back to us and you're outnumbered because you've got so many players that caught behind the ball. I love this vision here. You switch the play, but count the numbers by the time Young gets it over on this half-back flank. How many players are level with the ball and behind? So it means once the ball is finally kicked, you're playing the game 12 on 17, which good luck doing that at AFL circles. So it's about to kick the footy here. And look, 1, 2, 3, 4, and one down here, 5, and even one within 10 metres. You can be defended by about 3 players in a game. The ball gets kicked long down on the wing, and the Saints have the spare numbers, and you get scored against on rebound. So if you do win the footy back, you've got to be a little bit daring and brave like you want to see, Lloyd.
Yeah, it's far too safe, and I think they've finally got some forwards. Since Matthew Pavlich, they've really struggled to get anyone of note, and Jai Amos and also Joel Tracy are playing good football as well. So go a bit faster to give these two a chance, and they could really stretch Collingwood. So but when they go, it looks really, really good. They've got some players who would really suit and benefit that. So sometimes it's there for Fremantle, sometimes it's not, which is what we really need to see.
And a fella for Collingwood, who I've been at the last couple of Collingwood games, who's really caught my attention, is the big fella, Darcy Cameron. So he's early in the season been, sharing his ruck time with Mason Cox, but the last 4 to 5 weeks, mainly the number 1 ruck, and I like the way he's positioning around the ground. His hit-outs to advantage, he's getting involved at ground level. But this number here, contested marks and score involvements have all gone up. If he wins the ruck, he'll tend to sit behind the footy. His marking's great. His centre bounce work and around the ground's good. I know we often highlight the stars around on ball, but he's been pretty solid the last month. And I love this from big fellas. Get down the line, get in position, mark the footy strong, and your teammates can zip off the back of that.
He and Leek Jackson should be a wonderful battle. I'm tipping Fremantle to win this. If they can't beat Collingwood with their injuries, I don't think they ever will at home. What do you think?
I still think Collingwood will win. I think they'll ask too many questions with their speed of ball movement. I know they've got a bit of patchwork forward line, but the Pies. The
second one we're going to look at is a huge game for the Gold Coast Suns and Carlton. I want to see where they sit with games in Melbourne, and they've only beaten a top 8 side once in the last 3 years, the Gold Coast Suns in Melbourne. And I think an out has helped Carlton in this game. Mark Pittonet, I know I'm hard on him, but I think this will help this man de Koning. I think he's a ruckman, not a forward. He's struggled to fit in, so Pittonet is out. And when Pittonet doesn't play, he does 99% of the ruck work rather than 47%. And let's look at him at his best. De Koning at his best, he just follows up really, really well. When you've got this athleticism, why don't you play him as a number 1 ruckman? He follows up really, really well. He loves the responsibility. He's been trying to be a forward with Curnow and Mackay. It just doesn't work. 3 tall forwards does not work. So that was a ruck back hit out. He's followed up. He tests out Briggs in a way that Briggs doesn't like. Jimmy's tracking him as he moves forward. And watch his crumbing work for someone who's 200 centimetres. Really, really strong. And this is a setup I've been arguing for Carlton. So when he's ruck, it takes 1 tall out of the forward line. So then you've got Curnow up high and Mackay deep. This is what we've been crying out for. Why can't Carlton score more? Because they're jumping all over each other, these 3 tall forwards. When de Koning's in the ruck, this happens, Jimmy, which I really like.
Yeah, that highlight against the Giants, I think they'll be played in most of his highlight reels at different games. You mentioned the 2 big bananas, obviously Mackay and Curnow. I like what Gold Coast Suns have got behind the footy. Their 2 key posts don't often get the accolades many do, but Ballard and Collins, they intercept the footy so well, but they take their direct opponent. They're pretty difficult to get away from. Slippery conditions up there in Darwin, but look how clean they are with the way they mark the footy and away they go. So I think opposition sides, they're a difficult one to beat, those 2.
So if the big boys forward for Carlton don't mark it, Owies is going okay, and their pressure's pretty good, but this is how they generate a little bit. They either mark the footy or they tackle, but we've got a bit of a challenge for them to take Carlton to the next level, haven't we?
Well, to use Michael Voss, you get great feedback from good sides. And the Cats have been a good side in recent years, and the Swans. And it's their pace and zip away from stoppage and the link-up and connection piece. The Cats forwards do it really well. That's Brad Close right near you, running the boundary line. Stengel does it, Myers. They need to add this to their game. If they're not going to get the zip away from the stoppage from their midfielders, is there opportunity here from their small forwards to come up and get involved in the game? And it creates this overlap. Now you imagine, instead of Jeremy Cameron getting this might be Curnow, it might be Mackay. You turn your advantage of winning the ball into really good looks.
Now, the Gold Coast Suns, there's no more excuses, I wouldn't have thought. So this is a game they should come and challenge Carlton and probably beat Carlton. Jack Lukosius picked 2 in the 2018 draft, flying. Ben King just about leading the Coleman medal, pick 6. Humphrey kicked 5 goals last week, pick 6. So there's everything there, plus Rowell and Anderson. Stars everywhere. They kicked 14 between them against the Cats. Can they come to Marvel in front of 50,000 screaming Carlton fans and do it again, Jim?
I think we're all waiting for that big Melbourne win, as you highlight, to really frank their opportunity or their chances going to finals. But remember, this game last year, after quarter time, got the Blues rolling for the season.
So I haven't got the confidence to tip them. I'm tipping Carlton, even though I think they've got the talent to do it. I just don't quite trust them just yet.
I'm the same. I'm going the Blues.
Okay. What do you bet, Damo?
I'm going for the Carlton too, but there's not a great deal of confidence after their last, or for their last 5 weeks.
No.